In this episode, we're taking a closer look at one of the most unique space missions ever, the Soviet Zond 5 mission. Imagine this, it's 1968 and the Soviet Union is locked in a space race with the United States. The stakes are high and every mission matters. So what do the Soviets do? They decide to send tortoises. Yes, tortoises, because when you need to test the feasibility of a lunar trip, why not bring along the ultimate experts in pacing themselves? Their slogan, "We'll get there, eventually." But the Zond 5 mission wasn't just a tortoise road trip to the moon. It was a scientific smorgasbord. The spacecraft carried a collection of living organisms, including insects, plants, and microorganisms. Basically, it was Noah's Ark, but in space and with a Soviet twist. I mean, who wouldn't want to see a tortoise's reaction to zero gravity? Spoiler alert, they handled it better than most humans would. Probably because tortoises always look like they're saying, I've seen worse. The tortoises, chosen for their hardiness and low-maintenance lifestyles, were placed inside a sealed chamber with plenty of food, and by plenty of food, I mean they were given a 3-course meal of dehydrated tortoise chow, gourmet dining, 1960s Soviet style. Let's just say they weren't exactly dining on caviar and vodka, though I'd love to know if they ever missed the fine dining of Earth, like lettuce. Now let's talk about the mission itself. Zond 5 launched on September 15th, 1968 and made history by becoming the first spacecraft to orbit the moon and return to Earth with living organisms on board. That's right, these tortoises went farther than most of us ever will. They orbited the moon, taking in views that even Neil Armstrong hadn't seen yet, and came back to tell the tale. Well, metaphorically speaking. I'm pretty sure they didn't keep travel journals, though if they did, it'd be full of entries like day 3, still floating. Why's my food dehydrated? During the 6-day mission, the tortoises were exposed to the harsh realities of space radiation, microgravity, and the sheer existential dread of being thousands of miles from home. But they took it all in stride, as tortoises do. If they had a motto, it would probably be something like slow and steady, even in space. Or maybe, at least we're not fruit fly. And here's the kicker. When the spacecraft splashed down in the Indian Ocean on September 21st, 1968, the tortoises were alive and well. Not only that, but they had reportedly lost about 10% of their body weight. Scientists concluded that the weight loss was due to the stress of space travel and a lack of gravity affecting their digestion. Basically, the first ever cosmic crash diet. They came back leaner, meaner, and ready for their next mission, or at least a well-deserved nap. Who knew the secret to weight loss was 6 days in space? Sign me up. Minus the radiation, of course. The Zond 5 mission was a groundbreaking achievement for several reasons. It proved that living organisms could survive a round trip to the moon, paving the way for future manned lunar missions. It also demonstrated the durability of life in the harsh environment of space. These tortoises were the ultimate pioneers, showing that even the slowest creatures can make giant leaps for science. And they did it all without breaking a sweat or a shell. That's just the beginning of our deep dive into lesser-known spacefarers. In the next half of this episode, we'll explore more fascinating stories from this mission, including how insects and plants fared on their cosmic journey. Plus, we'll discuss the larger implications of sending these unlikely astronauts into the final frontier. So don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Eco Era, and share this video with your friends. It really helps us out, and we've got plenty more cosmic stories coming your way. Welcome back to Eco Era. In the first half of this episode, we marveled at the tortoises who took a slow and steady journey around the moon aboard the Soviet Zond 5 mission. But if you thought tortoises were the strangest astronauts, buckle up, because we're about to meet some other unlikely space travelers. Spoiler, one of them is a cat who's basically France's version of Neil Armstrong. If Neil Armstrong purred and demanded belly rubs after landing. And yes, there are frogs and spiders too, so stay tuned. Let's start with the feline who made history, Félicette. On October 18th, 1963, Félicette became the first cat to travel to space. She wasn't just any cat, though. She was chosen for her calm demeanor and, presumably, her ability to look unimpressed in any situation. Perfect qualities for an astronaut, don't you think? NASA might have their astronauts, but France had the first astrocat. Somewhere a dog from Laika's lineage probably growled in envy. And you just know Félicette was thinking, finally a mission worthy of my magnificence. Félicette's mission was part of a larger effort by France to study the effects of microgravity on living organisms. She was outfitted with electrodes to monitor her brain activity, making her the first space traveler to record neural data during flight. If she'd known how historic this was, she might have demanded extra treats in her contract. Sadly, cats haven't unionized yet. Imagine picket signs. More treats, less rockets. Or perhaps, down with dehydrated tuna. Félicette's flight lasted just 13 minutes, reaching an altitude of 97 miles before her capsule safely parachuted back to Earth. She survived the journey and returned as a scientific hero. Although her fame didn't last as long as it should have, in recent years she's gained recognition as a trailblazing space pioneer. She even has a statue in her honor in Strasbourg. Take that, Neil Armstrong. One small paw for cat, one giant leap for catitude. And let's be honest, that statue probably isn't nearly as smug as she was. But the animal astronaut roster doesn't stop with Félicette. The list of spacefaring species is as diverse as it is surprising. Take frogs, for example. In 1970, NASA launched the frog Otolith Experiment to study balance and inner ear function in microgravity. Can you imagine a frog floating in zero gravity? I'd like to think they were living their best lives, practicing their air swims while thinking, finally, no ponds to deal with. And I'm sure one of them tried to yell, "Ribbit! We're flying!" And then there were fish. In the 1970s, fish were sent to space to study how microgravity affects swimming behavior. The results? Fish adapted surprisingly well, proving that even underwater creatures can handle the cosmos. Somewhere out there, there's probably a fish dreaming of opening the first intergalactic aquarium. Imagine Spacefish the exhibit coming to a galaxy near you, complete with floating fish tanks and tickets for alien tourists. Spiders also made their mark on space history. In 1973, two spiders named Arabella and Anita were sent aboard Skylab to study how they spun webs in microgravity. Turns out they're just as talented in space as they are on Earth, though I'm sure the astronauts on board weren't thrilled about sharing their living quarters with eight-legged roommates. Hey Arabella, maybe spin your web over there, far over there. And let's not forget, if spiders can adjust to space, what excuse do we have for not adapting to Wi-Fi issues? Speaking of adaptability, let's take a moment to appreciate the sheer resilience of these creatures. Each mission might sound quirky, but they served serious scientific purposes. Frogs helped us understand human balance, fish showed how aquatic life adjusts to weightlessness, and spiders taught us about adaptability in new environments. Félicette, of course, proved that cats are always going to find a way to land on their feet, even in space, and probably look smug while doing it. Let us know in the comments which animal astronaut you think deserves the most credit. And if you're enjoying this series, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Eco Era, and share this video with your friends. It really helps us out, and it means we can keep bringing you stories that are out of this world. Literally. Next time on Eco Era, we'll dive into the ethical considerations and lasting legacy of these animal space pioneers. From the sacrifices made by these creatures to the advancements they enabled in space biology. We'll explore how their contributions shaped modern space exploration and informed current humane practices. It's a story of progress, reflection, and lessons learned. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep reaching for the stars. See you next time.